So it looks like it's either a journal bearing.
The journal bearing resists moments.
Good point. I'm gonna skip back for a minute and go to the computer and pull up their pictures. 22.
Oh, I'm thinking of stress factor.
Okay, so if I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. So there's a journal bearing. On the outside, the journal bearing and the ball bearing look the same. But the thrust bearing looks a little different, right? What's the difference between the ball and journal picture than the thrust? The thrust has something else there. It has the collars on the outside to prevent it from moving in this direction. Okay? When we look at that picture, we notice that we don't see these collars, so it can't be a thrust bearing. So it's either this ball bearing or journal bearing. What's the ball bearing? Inside this guy are balls around the outside. So it allows it still to tweak a little bit, allows to rotate. So notice for the ball bearing, there are no moment reactions because it doesn't resist a moment. But the journal bearing resists a moment, right? If you have this collar with something sliding in, it can't rotate, right? So the reactions at the supports are two forces and two moments. But in the ball bearing, in the center, there is a series of balls that allows some rotation. So the only thing it's resisting is the forces. Santiago.
So in this case, how can we determine since we
Good.
cannot see the inside?
We cannot see the inside, but so they must have something in the words. So let's go back to the words then. So the words say the two brackets only exert force reactions, which means there are no moment reactions on it. So what kind of supports are those? Ball bearings. And now, we have to think about it. Which way am I going to draw these forces? Let's see. Take a look up here. So we're up to Armando. A and B, they could slide up and down, right?
Yeah.
So in the Z direction, they can move. But they can't move in the Y direction, and they can't move in the X direction, right?
Yeah.
So we know that we have to draw reactions that are in the X and the Y. So let's draw them in the positive. Here's AY, here's BY, here's BX, here's AX. So I'm going to wait a few minutes because I want you to understand all that and ask me any questions.